Do you have questions about Medicare Select? Yeah, so do I. But our next guest has all of your questions covered.
Welcome to Farm Truck Financial, where wisdom and wealth ride shotgun. Join Eric Kearney, president of Retirement Wealth Advisors, who believes that the best kind of planning happens when four tires hit the road. So hop in. Today, we're talking about investment strategies that drive results.
Farm Truck Financial, we're riding.
And welcome back to Farm Truck Financial. My name is Eric Kearney, president of Retirement Wealth Advisors, and welcome back, Carmela.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you back. We had so many people that had questions about Medicare, and I know that a lot of people reached out to you last time, so we wanted to dig deeper into Medicare. So for those of you who didn't see the first show, Carmela has been working with our firm for a very long time. She is in the Southwest Florida area, which I love. We want to have somebody there in person, but you've been doing this more than 10 years. People want to know, what do you do day to day or week to week to help people with Medicare? Because people are always concerned about the enrollment period, right? Initial enrollment. But what do you do on a week to week basis to help people?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. Sometimes I ask myself at the same time, so many things to do and not enough hours sometimes.
Right.
But, my goal really is to educate people. Mm-hmm. Of course, yes, I'm a salesperson, if you want to say that. I'm a licensed insurance agent, but ultimately I'm an educator. And so week to week, my goal really is to get in front of those people. A lot of my business is referrals, of course, and great people like you being able to allow me to help your clients. And my goal is to sit with them, give them the basics of Medicare, explain how it works, simplify what I like to call the navigating the Medicare maze, if you will, and really just making sure that I get to understand their situation, who they are, what's important to them, and be able to educate them.
So you are in sales, right?
Yes.
Aren't we all in sales, though? Like, we all are trying to sell ourselves to someone else. Here's the difference. What I always say is, were you sold a product or were you provided with a solution? And the one thing why we've had a great relationship with you is that you provide solutions. So while you are selling a product, right, like we all do, but you're also providing a solution, and that's what you're working very hard at. The 1-800 numbers kill me because you simply buy something, you never hear from them again, you're not being serviced, and quite often, after you go into that product, you're asking yourself, is this the right thing for me?
Yeah, definitely.
You are constantly interacting with your clientele and saying, okay, is this still appropriate for me? So when you reach out to them, what are you looking for? Changes in their health, changes in their lifestyle, changes in their economy? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything, especially during those open enrollment periods, checking in with them. Maybe someone wasn't taking any prescriptions and now, oh my goodness, they had a little bout of AFib and they're taking an expensive heart medication.
Right.
To come along with my education, I do have a lot of resources. And so you're right, I do love looking for solutions. And being in this industry for so long, I've been faced with a lot of things and I'm always learning.
Right.
And that's what I love, making sure everyone does have a different situation. So for them, my goal is to understand what they have going on, keep in touch with them. When I first meet with a client, I send them everything we reviewed and then I give them a timeline. And I say to them, if you're doing your research 6 months before, there's kind of a long time before you're actually on Medicare and everything's effective. So my clients know each month what we're working on together and I involve them and make sure they know what we're doing as well.
That makes a lot of sense. So the next thing that I want to go over is there's a few different ages that we have to pay attention to, and they get more difficult as we get older. So we have to pay attention to 62, 65, and 67. So let's talk a little bit about that in those different areas.
Yeah, sure. So with Medicare, a lot of people associate it with Social Security,
right?
Because you do have to contact Social Security to do your Medicare application. They are sort of one, but separate.
Right.
So at 62, guys, that is the age where you are eligible to collect your Social Security retirement benefits. Okay. Now, keep in mind, if you take them early, there are reductions. So you do want to, talk with Eric or Social Security to find that out. But that would be the first time you can collect those benefits monetarily. When you're 65, now you're eligible for the health coverage with Medicare. And then 67, that is your full retirement age. Depending on when you were born, but most people right now, if you were born 1960 or later, that full retirement age is actually 67.
Right.
And what that means is that they can make as much money as they want, but they also can start collecting their 100% retirement benefit from Social Security. So it's good to understand the differences. You can sign up for Medicare and not sign up for Social Security. And you can also sign up for Social Security and not sign up for Medicare.
Right. Interesting times, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Right.
So, hey, everybody, if you have any questions about Medicare, contact Carmela below. And when we come right back, we're going to talk about how we actually implement Medicare into the financial plan and the income plan and that whole thing called IRMAA. Stay tuned.
Do you have questions and concerns about your money, lifestyle, and retirement? Like so many, investors today worry about living expenses, healthcare costs, inflation, and stock market volatility. Instead of worrying, start planning. Eric Kearney and his team at Retirement Wealth Advisors want to sit down, get to know you, and start to build a plan that matches your vision and goals. Let's have a real conversation about what's important to you and how we get there. We'll help build you a plan based on your goals, lifestyle, and income needs, with financial clarity over complexity. Call us today for a farm fresh second opinion. Remember, you only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
And we are back, and we are having a great conversation about Medicare with Carmela, the Medicare expert. So, Carmela, let's talk about IRMAA. And most people think about Hurricane Irma, right?
Right.
And they don't understand Social Security Irma until they get that love letter in the mail. And then they're like, what the heck is this? So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So when you start with your Medicare, there is a premium for it. A lot of people don't realize that. Your Part A is your hospital room and board. There's no premium for that. We paid all our lovely FICA taxes, but the medical portion does have a premium. And that premium, guys, is actually determined by your income. And so that's where that beautiful word IRMAA comes in.
Right.
It's income related monthly adjustment amount. Okay. And so what that means is that Social Security is actually going to be looking at 2 years prior, and they look at your tax return. So whatever income you pay taxes on is the income that they're going to look at. And so there is a bump up, right? Next year, I think the first bump up is like an extra $84, something like that, on top of the premium. Next year in 2026, the Part B premium is $206.50.
Wow.
And that's the base. Right. So depending on your income, this is why it's really important for people that are still working or have retired.
Right.
Because if you did retire within the last year or two and you're starting your Medicare, obviously you're not making that salary anymore, right?
Right.
So Social Security is not going to change it for you because they don't know that you retired. But there is a way to be able to report your income changes prior to those 2 years and put an appeal through. And Social Security will actually work with you to get you back down to that base.
And that's what you help a lot of people with. And this is
Absolutely.
why you really do need to have a Medicare specialist and a professional, not just a 1-800 number, because Carmela is looking at all this for you. The one thing that we incorporate at Retirement Wealth Advisors is full-blown financial planning. What we do is we're taking a look at your Medicare options, incorporating those into your income plan, your financial plan, your tax plan, making sure that we're actually cutting off all those things that could be an issue for you. And I don't think there's enough people out there that are really doing enough planning or preparing for this. So they come up with a lot of surprises with Medicare.
Right.
The next thing is, let's cover like what it doesn't cover.
Yeah, so that's a really good question, Eric, because a lot of people do ask me that. Medicare, you only have two choices. You have the federal program, original Medicare,
Right.
or you have a Medicare Advantage, which is a private sector, right, managed by those major health insurance companies. And so with original Medicare, some things that are not covered is dental, okay, vision, some hearing. That's original Medicare. But the biggest cost that a lot of people don't realize, which is it actually about over 50% of your retirement income goes towards this, is long-term care.
Yeah.
And this is something that happens sort of later in life, but it could be out of the blue. You know, God forbid someone has a stroke or something like that. And this is the type of care that's no longer medical. So Medicare is going to pay for your medical care, right? If God forbid you go to a skilled nursing facility, but at a certain point, we all are going to get to an age, actually about 70% of us statistically, that will need hands-on custodial care. And that is where Medicare does not cover that. So for you guys that are making those plans, like Eric, like you said, it is so important to make a plan, because I can tell you more times than I'd like to admit, I've had clients call me and, now they're having dementia or memory issues and, their spouse is overwhelmed and they now are dwindling down assets because they don't have that protection for long-term care.
Right.
So it's really, really important. And there are options out there that are affordable. So don't be nervous by some of the, minutia out there. Do your own research, because there are ways to protect yourself from that.
Massage therapy, that covered?
Some of it, when you are looking at the private sector, there can be with these Medicare Advantages. They kind of have these extra little bits that they will pay for, but chiropractic care, Medicare will cover the manipulation of the spine. So if you're getting adjusted. Foot care, if it's a medical issue, yes. If you're going in to get your toenails cut, original Medicare won't pay for that.
Ah, gotcha. But dental care, we get back to that. Dental care is very expensive.
Yeah.
You cannot imagine the amount of money that our client base calls in for because they need dental work.
Yeah.
And Autumn will get off the phone with them and I go, oh, they're taking out $33,000. What's that for? Oh, it's for, they're getting dental work done. And I'm like, what? I'm blown away.
I know. It's insane. I mean, I don't know. Some of these private sector plans, Medicare Advantage, I will be honest, that some of them do come with a little bit of dental coverage. Okay. But keep in mind, you got to find a dentist that wants to take an HMO, Medicare Advantage dental plan, right?
Right.
Yeah, the cleanings might be free, but it's not, they're not taking out $33,000 to get their teeth cleaned, right?
Right.
So, and a lot of times what I say, and not to get too much into dental, but ask your dentist, what in-network company are they with?
Right.
A lot of times dentists don't even want to take insurance.
Yeah.
So in my world, when someone says to me, well, I'd rather have Medicare Advantage because I get dental.
Yeah.
My thing to them is, are you going to sacrifice the best medical coverage you can get for a little bit of dental?
Yeah, exactly.
That may not even be able to find a dentist that takes it.
Yeah. That's great, Carmela. If you guys have any questions about Medicare, contact Carmela below. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the most popular questions that you guys are asking about Medicare. See you soon.
You know who has one of the toughest retirements? Procrastinators. You keep telling yourself, yeah, I'm going to get to that. But after months turn into years, you realize that time is one investment you can't buy back. The earlier you start, the longer your money works for you. Stop letting someday steal your future. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is right now. Don't let procrastination be the reason you work longer and retire smaller. Call us today for a complimentary review of your finances. And remember, you only retire once. So let's get it right the first time.
And today, hopefully, we are answering a lot of your questions that you have about Medicare. So, Carmela, what are some of the most popular questions? I know that we covered long-term care, healthcare. That's a big one. And I think that people procrastinate and they wait too long to make changes, don't they? I mean, we are procrastination nation. And so people wait way too long. And then they're like trying to backpedal a little bit, right?
Right. Yeah, they are. So I think one of the biggest questions I have is, I'm still working. I don't want to take my Medicare. What do I have to do? Right. So the biggest thing that you guys want to do if you're still working and you have that group coverage is make sure that group coverage is creditable. You have to be working with a company that has at least 20 employees and it's a group coverage. Okay. And if that's the case and you do keep that, then you can actually delay your Part B without having penalties. So a lot of people think if I don't take everything, I'm going to have penalties later. So that's not true. You can sign up for your Part A since there's no premium. It doesn't hurt you. But keep in mind, if you guys have a health savings account that you're putting money into, maybe your company's contributing, after you sign up for Part A, even if you don't take your B, you can no longer make those contributions. So you want to make sure that you check that because that's important. But there will be no penalties if you delay your B and you have creditable coverage with work.
There is so many moving parts. Like, I just don't understand how someone can take this on themselves and especially as we get older, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because our priorities change because now all of a sudden, when we do get sick or we get elderly, we're just trying to take care of ourselves day to day, right?
Yeah, right.
Just getting through that day. But now we want to make sure that our insurance and our coverage and who the professionals are that we're actually seeing are capable of seeing us. And so making sure that we have the correct plan is always appropriate. So I think that this is a huge service that you provide, Carmela.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the difference between Medicare Advantage and Medigap. That's always one of the biggest questions.
It is the biggest questions, especially during annual election period. There's so many commercials and so many radio ads and mailings that people are getting. And so they do get overwhelmed and very confused. And so the differences between original Medicare, which is the federal program, your A and your B, and the HMO, PPO, Medicare Advantage private sector is these plans, PPO, HMO, have networks. You have to make sure that your doctor takes these plans before you choose one. And those doctors can come in and out of network every 30 days. So on original Medicare, there are no networks, okay? They have similar exposures, right? Original Medicare allows you to add that additional coverage of a Medicare supplement to pay those out-of-pockets for you. On the private sector, you cannot add that additional coverage. So you're left paying as you go for all of those copays and things like that. And the biggest thing is when somebody does have an illness or a sickness and they want to choose their doctors and they want to go to the best cardiologist or they want to go to Mayo Clinic, which is one of Florida's #1 hospitals, Mayo Clinic doesn't accept Medicare Advantage. So a lot of people get stuck and they want to come back and add a supplement, and that's where that medical underwriting comes in later in life, which is why, like you said in the beginning, you're making a decision on what is going to last with you forever.
Right. That makes sense. So the other question is that we have a lot of clients that retire, get bored, still want to be challenged. Now all of a sudden they want to go back into the workforce. But we also have a lot of clients that go back into consulting and they're getting paid silly money for doing this consulting. They're like, well, why wouldn't I do that?
Right.
What happens with all of this stuff if they want to continue to work?
So if they want to continue to work or go back to work, having employer or even sometimes retirement, even after you retire, your company allows you to keep the coverage that they give you as part of their package, right? Again, this would be a time where you would want to compare those plans and see what's better, because Medicare will always allow you to keep that group insurance if you have that 20 or more employees and it's creditable. You won't have penalties. But the older you get, the more expensive those Medicare supplements can get. And the older you get, the more issues you have. So maybe you're not paying your $6,000 deductible for your employer plan now, but you could be in the future. So really just educating yourself on what coverage you have and those differences is important.
So one of the questions that I get often, and this is the last one for today, is plastic surgery. What can you say about plastic? I mean, people are begging that's covered under that.
I know.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah, that's your own prerogative, right? No judgment, but Medicare is not going to cover if you want to do something that's elective. I had a client once that had a mole on his head, and he was a guy that shaved his head, and he was so upset that Medicare didn't cover his mole removal. And I said, guy, it's not cancer. So if you want your mole off your head, that's up to you. You got to pay for it.
That's right. Again, there's so many moving parts with Medicare. And Carmela, I want to say thank you so much for being a partner with us and a trusted partner, because when it does come to Medicare decisions, and I love that there are so many moving parts, but yet this is why we do financial planning. This is literally why we have a financial planning side. And again, we're planning for all this in your future. So again, if you have any questions about Medicare, please contact Carmela. Everybody, thank you so much for watching Farm Truck Financial. We will see you on the back roads of retirement.
Thanks for riding along with us today. We hope you got some good dirt. If you liked today's show, subscribe, like, and share with all your farm truck friends. We hope you'll join us for the next ride on Farm Truck Financial, where we're always planting seeds for a better future, 1 mile, $1 at a time.
Farm Truck Financial, we're riding with you down the back road, steady.